Mr. President.
Democrat leader.
Well, today, Donald Trump is announcing a $12 billion bailout for farmers who have been punished by his trade war and his tariffs. Let's be very clear. The reason farmers need relief at all is largely because Donald Trump betrayed them and decimated their businesses with his disastrous tariffs. Now Donald Trump's patting himself on the back, acting like a hero to farmers, while using taxpayer dollars to clean up the mess he created. It's textbook Donald Trump incompetence. I want to make three very important points about this announcement. First, as is so often the case with Donald Trump, we have no idea whether the farmers who actually need help will ever see this $12 billion. So he always makes promises that don't deliver. He regularly announces that relief is coming with all due haste, and somehow, time and time again, the money never reaches the people who need it most. So if I were a farmer, I wouldn't count on this money. It's probably more of Donald Trump's big talk without really delivering. That's what's happened over and over again. Second, a one-time payment for farmers is cold comfort for all the headache and anxiety and losses they've endured because of Donald Trump's trade war. Farmers do not want a handout. Ask them. They want markets. But Donald Trump's policies have killed the markets our farmers rely on to make a living. This is especially true for soybean farmers. China went from buying more than $12 billion in American soybeans last year to virtually nothing by the middle of this year. That Chinese need for soybeans didn't disappear. Contracts went to other countries like Argentina, which Trump then bailed out at U.S. farmers' expense. And producers in those countries, Argentina, Brazil, have now locked in new long-term deals that will shut American farmers out for years, and which a one-time check can't alleviate. A one-time check isn't a solution. It's a Band-Aid over gunshot wounds. And again, ask our farmers. They want long-term contracts. Unfortunately, they're not going to get them because when we cut off China, China went to Brazil and Argentina, and those soybean growers said, yeah, we'll give you soybeans, but not for a year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Finally, the American people are being punished twice for Donald Trump's costly tariffs. Families have seen the cost of beef, produce, and other groceries skyrocket over this year because of the tariffs, and now they're told their taxpayer dollars must be used to clean up the mess that Donald Trump and his tariffs created. So on the first, he tells consumers, you got to pay more for the tariffs, and then the taxpayers got to pay more because the farmers are in such trouble because of what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump's announcement today is hardly a triumph. It's an admission of failure. Failure to help farmers, failure to rein in China, and failure to lower costs. On anti-Semitism. Today in America, we're witnessing a disturbing and alarming trend. Anti-Semitism and white supremacy, and indeed neo-Nazism, just saying the word sends shudders down one's spine, are increasingly running rampant in our society. These deeply pernicious forms of hate, spewed by right-wing radicals like Nick Fuentes, and platformed by people like Tucker Carlson, who almost seem proud to platform them, have pushed America closer to a tipping point, where Jewish Americans and all those targeted by white nationalist hate are all too often looking over their shoulders, fearing for their safety. And too many in this country are silent against this threat. On this issue, silence is dangerous. So today, because silence is dangerous, today I am introducing a resolution co-sponsored by every single Senate Democrat, all 47, that this resolution rejects Nick Fuentes and his anti-Semitic and white supremacist views. This resolution condemns Tucker Carlson for giving Fuentes a platform And it condemns anti-Semitism, white supremacy, and Nazism wherever and whenever they strike. As I introduce this resolution today, I invite my Senate Republican colleagues to join us in taking a stand against hate by co-sponsoring this resolution. The country wants to see both parties united against anti-Semitism, so it's not too late for my Republican colleagues to join my resolution. And this is not a theoretical exercise. Senators speaking out against white supremacist hatred is vital in today's day and age, because there have been far too many instances lately of anti-Semitism, white supremacy, and other forms of hatred being welcomed, normalized, and even endorsed in our society. Who would have thought? When we stay silent, when we fail to reject anti-Semitism and white supremacy, that's when they spread through society like wildfire. So my resolution gives senators from both parties a chance to stand up against anti-Semitism and white supremacy and send a clear, unmistakable message that here in America we reject all and any forms of hatred and bigotry. On Donald Trump and the costs that Americans pay for his policies. Tomorrow, Donald Trump will travel to Pennsylvania to give a speech on what he calls his economic accomplishments. We all know how this is going to turn out. Donald Trump will spend the first few minutes of his speech trying to stick to his talking points, and then he'll spend the next 2 hours rambling about how affordability is a Democratic scam, a fake narrative, blame Joe Biden for his own failures while offering zero solutions to bring down costs. Americans who are paying more for daily essentials want to see the president act, not ramble from a podium. Affordability isn't some kind of messaging issue, and it's certainly not a scam, as Donald Trump claims from inside his little bubble. He doesn't even realize what Americans are going through as they worry and struggle to pay the bills that come in each week and each month. It's a crisis Donald Trump himself exacerbated with his own policies. There aren't enough speeches in the world to reverse the damage Donald Trump has done to rising costs. After all, those tariffs have raised prices across the board on groceries, on clothing, on energy. And whose tariffs are they? Donald Trump's. Who promised to bring costs down on day one and then turned around and cut health care, cut SNAP benefits, closed rural hospitals, and axed good-paying energy jobs in red and blue states alike? Donald Trump. Who's been completely silent and invisible as Americans speed towards a health care cliff, unlike any we've seen in a long time? Who has done nothing as families are on the brink of paying thousands of dollars more on health care premiums? Donald Trump. So look, the matter here is simple. Donald Trump can blame the previous administration all he wants for his own failures. He can keep calling affordability a con job or a fake narrative or a Democratic scam. He can keep pretending everything's going great. But Trump, rhetoric can't change the reality you've created. People are hurting, and people need help paying for the things they need every day. But Donald Trump has failed to deliver on the number one thing the American people care about: costs, how much it costs them to buy the things they need. And it's going to come back to haunt Republicans very, very soon. On health care. Well, we're at the start of an extremely important week for Donald Trump and for Republicans when it comes to our nation's health care crisis. On Thursday, the Senate will vote on Democrats' bill for a clean 3-year extension of the ACA premium tax credits. The question Republicans face this week is very simple. Will they support our bill and lower people's premiums, or will they block our bill and send premiums through the roof? That's what's at stake on the vote this Thursday. Leader Thune just gave a speech blasting ACA. But Leader Thune, you blast ACA? Well, where's the Republican plan? Republicans have no plan. They are so divided between themselves they can't even put a plan together. We Democrats do have a plan, and it's this bill for a clean 3-year extension. This is the only way to solve this problem now, before premiums go way up and in January people are faced with such high bills. is preventing costs from going, our bill prevents costs from going up right now. Here is the reality. Most Americans want to see these credits extended. Leader Thune blasts the ACA, but has no plan. And amazingly, he has no plan when 55% of Trump voters, of MAGA voters, want to see the credits extended. So, I urge my Republican colleagues not to follow Leader Thune. You have one chance, Republicans, colleagues, to get this right. But left to their own devices, Republicans don't have a snowball's chance in hell of fixing the health care crisis. Not a snowball's chance in hell of fixing this crisis because they're so divided. Even the plans they claim are reasonable can't move forward because one half of the Republicans want one thing, a third of the Republicans want another thing, a sixth of the Republicans want a third thing, and they can't agree. The contrast is stark. Republicans are divided, Democrats are united. We want to extend these credits. It's the right thing to do for the American people as they stand on the edge of the cliff. And meanwhile, one of the biggest failures on leadership on health care has been Donald Trump. As our country faces a crisis that will touch the lives of millions of people, he's sitting on the sidelines. For months, we've urged him to meet with us, to talk with us, to come to an agreement on fixing ACA premiums. Instead, he's isolated himself in the White House, blasted the ACA on Truth Social while doing nothing to prevent this from happening, doing nothing to present a real plan. Republicans are nowhere on health care, and the clock is ticking. Americans' livelihoods are at stake. Our health care system is at stake. The future of our hospitals, many of which will be overrun when people lose insurance, is also at stake. Republicans who claim to worry about health care costs have one last chance to act, and that is to join Democrats in supporting our bill for a clean 3-year extension. Finally, on these NOMS packages that are coming forward, today Senate Republicans are moving forward on a new nominee package that is chock full of horribly unqualified, shockingly radical nominees. All year long, Republicans have bent the knee to Donald Trump, bent the knee to Trump, and turned the Senate's duty of advise and consent into obey and confirm. And this package of nominees is no different. By moving these nominees in one package, Republicans in the Senate are trying to hide how bad these nominees are from the American people. They'd be embarrassed to have a debate even of 2 hours. They'd be embarrassed to have a vote. These nominees are so bad. We all know that Donald Trump and the way he nominates people often are perverse. If someone's broken the law, if someone's done a bad thing, he almost wants to nominate them. And the folks around here are going along. Let me give you a few quick examples. Thomas Bell to be Inspector General, supposed to be looking at fraud and waste and abuse. This guy's supposed to be Inspector General of HHS. Well, Bell is a well-documented Trump loyalist and anti-abortion extremist who has a history of committing repeated fraud, manufacturing fake documents, misusing unauthorized funds. This is who the Republicans want to confirm as a HHS watchdog? Give us a break. Give America a break. And by the way, these nominees are going to come back and embarrass Trump, just as we warned about Hegseth. You pick a Fox News commentator to run the most complicated life and death department in our country, he'll embarrass you, we said, or worse. And that's just what's happening. It's worse. What about James Percival to be general counsel at DHS? He is another Trump loyalist who's been a key figure, pushing the administration to defy court orders in regard to deportation actions. And then there's Jeffrey Hall to be assistant administrator at the EPA. How much experience does Mr. Hall have for this position? 0. And in his time acting in the role, the EPA dismissed a complaint against a Trump donor group that alleged that pesticides were sprayed by guards on detainees at an ICE facility. I could go on and on and on. So many of these nominees are awful. This is chock full of unqualified, horrible nominees. But the bottom line is this. Democrats want individual votes on these nominees. We want time to debate them on the floor, and we want the American people to see for themselves who Donald Trump and Republicans are trying to appoint to serious positions of power. Yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks.
Two lights are on. Elizabeth explained.